Hello, everyone. This is another issue of Targeted Justice v. Garland. I'm your host, Len Bear, and with me today is a board member of Targeted Justice, Richard Lighthouse. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, Len. Thanks for having me on.
This is an important episode for you, our viewers, and for us, Targeted Justice. There's really no line between targeted individuals and targeted justice, because if you looked at our mission, it is all about ending the program, getting involved in legal issues, and supporting the targeted individuals and the targeted community. Today's episode is called Countdown to SCOTUS Rehearing, which will take place on December 6th. A little reminder, Targeted Justice v. Garland is a lawsuit filed in January of 2023 in the district court in Texas, and was dismissed 6 months later by the district court judge. We filed an appeal in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which confirmed the district court opinion. And after we asked for en banc petition, so all the judges in that court would look at this case, it was denied. And after that, we moved to the Supreme Court. And in July of this year, a Target Justice filed a petition, writ certiorari. It was filed with the Supreme Court on October 2024. Petition was denied. And this brings us to today's date. As a reminder, so everybody's on the same page, the core issue in this lawsuit is the unlawful practice of permanently placing U.S. citizens who do not meet the reasonable suspicion terrorist criteria and do not represent a threat to national security or aviation on the TSDB's Handling Codes 3 and 4. Richard, would you like to add anything to this timeline?
Yeah, I'd like to comment briefly. So for folks that are not familiar with the TSDB is broken down into 5 handling codes and 1 secret category. And the first 2 categories are what people know as the watch list. And those are the categories that are shared with airlines. And the other categories are what we refer to as a blacklist. The blacklist is a terminology that became popular back in the 1950s during the era of the McCarthy blacklist. So go back to your history book so you can recall what that is. But basically, it's illegal. The government has no right to place you on a blacklist to permanently surveil you. If they want to do an investigation, that's fine. But after a reasonable period of time, they either need to file criminal charges or drop you off the list. It's illegal, it's unconstitutional, and we want it stopped. The goal of our lawsuit is to get Handling Codes 3 and 4 permanently removed and not placed on any other list. At the present time, all of these names are also placed on a military database known as MARS, M-A-R-S. And so the military has you listed down as a suspected terrorist. So we want this shut down. We don't want your name on any other list. And if we're successful, this will benefit all targeted individuals all over the world. So that's the goal of this lawsuit.
Excellent comment, Richard. Thank you. The topic of today's episode, once again, is actionable. It is something that you can do in order to support the petition for a hearing, which Targeted Justice filed with Supreme Court on November 1st of 2024. Today is November 24th, I believe. SCOTUS Rehearing session is set for December 6th. And if you're asking, what can I do to support the cause, to support the initiative to shut down the targeting program, we have a solution for you. It's time sensitive. You have about a week to send letters to the Supreme Court justices. Any comment, Richard?
Yeah, and in fact, we want people to really rush on this because we believe that the U.S. Postal Service is unfortunately also cooperating with the deep state, and they may put the brakes on any letters that are filed. So those letters may not end up showing up until after December 6th. We don't want that to happen. Today is Sunday. Get them out today. Make 9 copies, just like we had in our prior newsletters. Print those out. It's got to be in color. You can print them out at FedEx or Staples or Office Depot if you don't have a color printer, and make 9 copies of it and send it to the justices. I need to emphasize that if you're a plaintiff in the lawsuit, such as me and Len, we're not supposed to send anything or communicate with the court. So the 18 plaintiffs in the lawsuits are exempt from this. We don't want them contacting or communicating with the court except through our attorney. So everybody else has the right of free speech to send letters to any government official. So the justices and the clerks of the court, we encourage you to contact them and give them your opinions. That's called free speech. That's the American way. It's very constitutional.
That's true. Is there any other way to send these letters? For example, via fax?
We are looking into, we haven't been able to identify a fax machine, unfortunately, or fax numbers. I don't doubt that they have them, and I'm sure that's very tightly held for internal government communications. But at the present time, unfortunately, we haven't been able to identify a fax machine.
Fair enough. So let's take a closer look at the petition for rehearing. Petition for rehearing contains 2 intervening circumstances that serve as grounds for rehearing. And the first intervening circumstance is a DOD Directive 5240.01 issued on September 27, 2024. I understand this is a follow-up on the executive order. And what this directive means that the military involvement in domestic affairs has been legalized, that the military intelligence personnel can use lethal force in the homeland on U.S. soil. And an important part of it, this happened just 3 days prior to the conference that Supreme Court justices had to review our petition. The directive essentially legalized the use of military-grade weaponry, including directed energy weapons, against Americans that the FBI improperly classified as domestic terrorists. And this is exactly what defendants denied in this lawsuit.
Yeah, it's very important that people understand just how unconstitutional this is. Under the Fourth Amendment, every person, every U.S. citizen is allowed due process. And due process means you have certain rights that cannot be violated. Classifying you as a threat to national security without due process, without reasonable suspicion or probable cause, and then murdering you if they so choose to declare you an imminent national security threat. All of this done without a jury, without a trial, and without due process. That's grossly illegal, and we need it stopped.
Thank you, Richard. What else does this directive do? In this petition, we say that listed Americans, meaning illegally listed in the TSDB, in the handling categories 3 and 4, are subjected to a life of torture that includes directed energy attacks that burn and maim them, producing burns such as this. And we include the photographs, which we suggest you send alongside with your email, and also result in Havana syndrome. This directive represents a clear and present danger to the petitioners and anyone illegally placed on the 2 secret unauthorized categories of the TSDB, because the aggressors have now been granted license to torture and murder them. Do you have any insight to offer, Richard?
Yes, we've gotten a lot of emails and commentary from the TI community that their attacks have gone up since September 27th, which is the day that this new DOD directive took effect, saying that after this date, their attacks have gone up. This is disturbing and alarming. We think it's tied to the DOD directive. They believe they have a license to torture and kill. And we need to make it clear to the court, specifically the Supreme Court, that this is a practice that's grossly illegal and it cannot be allowed to continue.
Drawing court's attention to this directive is really important to our case, but it's also important to anybody. And I don't hear this conversation in the mainstream and even in the alternative media. I think this should be a bigger event. The military force is legalized to use on U.S. civilians in the homeland. Second intervening circumstance that serves as grounds for rehearing. The U.S. government recognized petitioner Landbear's Havana syndrome diagnosis is real and not fantastical. And I can testify to that. And why is it a big deal? Because Social Security is part of the government. So when they confirm my disability is due to Havana syndrome, that changes the conversation. To the best of our knowledge, this is the first time a disability due to Havana syndrome has been granted to a civilian. And it means that the lower court's dismissal with prejudice shut down the door on petitioners' rights to obtain redress for real and not fantastical injuries. Richard?
Yeah, that it's extremely important that people understand the connection here. We now have proof that our complaints are real and not fantastical. We believe that Judge Lee Rosenthal's comments and decisions were outside of it was an abuse of discretion, number one, and it was wrong to be dismissed with prejudice. And she didn't even give us our day in court. That's what we're asking for. Targeted justice and our members want our day in court. We want the defendants to answer the petition. We just want our day in court. We're not asking the Supreme Court to make a blanket ruling in our favor. We just want our day in court. Get the defendants to answer the petition. It's a very simple request.
I want to echo your comments about Judge Rosenthal. Reading her order to dismiss and dismiss with prejudice, which is shut the doors for making the same complaints, it was very abrasive. The language was borderline unacceptable, very condescending, and it doesn't look like it's been written by a judge with years and years of experience. Have you received these comments, Richard?
Yes, we've come to that conclusion as well, Lynn. It's not something that we're going to dig into deeply here, but we've read Judge Rosenthal's prior rulings. The language, the tone, and the context of this particular ruling, it clearly was not written by her. That's our opinion. We've backed that opinion up with computer software that's looked at it and said that there's an extremely low probability that the person who wrote the 6 prior rulings in her court was the same person that wrote this ruling. So we've got computer software saying basically she didn't write that ruling. We strongly suspect the Department of Justice wrote that ruling, and that implies an illegal, what's called ex parte communications between the defendants and the court. And that's grossly illegal and it's unethical. And so we believe that that's what happened. We believe we've got the evidence to support that claim. So we will continue with that.
That made me very disappointed in the ruling of Judge Rosenthal, not only because it dismissed the case, but also because of the possibility that she didn't even write this ruling. All right, we argue, the targeted justice argues in this petition for rehearing, the rehearing should be granted. Rehearing session is set for December 6th. And if you're asking yourself, what can you do to support the petition for rehearing and help to shut down the targeting program, we have a solution. Send letters to all 9 judges. And here is the bullet point summary version of this letter template that we would like you to use. It is optional. You might want to write your own letter. But Richard, would you please take us through this, through the main points of this letter?
Yeah, this is we've got a sample letter that we put out with a prior newsletter. You can look that up. Go to targetedjustice.substack.com. You can read that without logging in, but we would like for you to comment. So if you go to targetedjustice.substack.com, log in using the email address that you receive our newsletter on. And then you can place comments, and you can, if you're a paid subscriber, you can join in the chat room. So I encourage you to do that. We've got the prior newsletters up there. This is a short form here for those that just want to quickly write a letter. You can do it in your own handwriting if you want to. If you want to add some subjective material of your own in your own experience, if you've been targeted for 20 years and want to emphasize that this program has been going on for at least 20 years, you can do that. So there's nothing to restrict you or limit you to just only put this material on there. But I think you'll find if you'll keep your letter to 1 page or less, the justices are more likely to read it. So try to keep your letter to 1 page or less, and attach the pictures of the microwave burns that we've posted in the newsletter, and that little blue diagram of the FBI's TSDB. That's very helpful so that they understand what's really going on. So again, the reason that we're asking to reconsider is because 2 things have changed since we filed our motion. One is Dr. Baer has received disability, that's from the Social Security Administration, saying he is legitimate suffering from Havana syndrome and is disabled due to it. The second thing that's changed is this DOD directive has come out on September 27th. That was not part of our original petition. We want the court to consider that and give us our day in court. Send this back to the trial court and give us our day in court. Make the defendants answer the petition.
Are there any specific judges, if you had to prioritize your correspondence, so for example, you only have time to send maybe 3 or 4 letters and not all the 9, even though 9 would be fantastic, but not fantastical. Which judges would you recommend writing to?
So we suspect that Justice Clarence Thomas may be a targeted individual. I agree that's a very subjective state. Do we have compelling or strong evidence? No, we don't. But the circumstances surrounding his constant harassment by the deep state suggest that he may be a targeted individual. The same with Justice Kavanaugh. He gets an extreme level of harassment from the media and the deep state, suggesting that he could very well be a targeted individual. So we think that these 2 justices are going to be very sensitive to any letters that people send and say, listen, you should pay attention to this because it affects you too. Another justice is Justice Sotomayor, who was originally from Puerto Rico, and they had some very unique conditions down there prior to her becoming a justice on the court that she is very familiar with. There is the COINTEL program run by the FBI since many years ago was used to harass and imprison certain very famous people in Puerto Rico. One named Pedro Campos, and he was irradiated and targeted and imprisoned for many years, and it was all over the press. So the FBI got ahead of themselves and didn't get control of the press, but they started a campaign of harassment and imprisonment. And this Mr. Campos is very famous in Puerto Rico as a resistance fighter. So Justice Sotomayor would be very familiar with the Pedro Campos case, and this is indicative of just how long the targeting program has been going on. So those 3 justices, Justice Thomas, Justice Kavanaugh, and Justice Sotomayor, are very sensitive to these issues and likely know what's going on. It's possible that they didn't even get to review this case in the original petition. So send your letters, particularly to those 3 justices.
I agree. Those 3 judges are the primary targets, but I would also include definitely the Chief Justice John Roberts, and we can also hope that the Supreme Court does not have too short of a memory, because in January of this year they reviewed a case, FBI v. FICRA, in which they unanimously agreed that placing a U.S. citizen on the TSDB does not eliminate the due process.
Yes. So the FICRA case is relevant to our case. If you'd like, you can look that up on the internet to get a sense of that case and how it's tied to ours. The 2 cases are related.
And with that, This is a very somewhat short episode, and I think we held your attention. This is urgent. The rehearing is on December 6th. So practically you have less than a week to make sure that these letters reach Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, that's it's a good summary, and I think that yeah, we didn't want to extend it out too long, but we really need folks to send these letters to the Supreme Court. Make 9 copies. You can fill in the name of the judge. You can handwrite on the envelope if you want to. In fact, they're more likely to open it and read it if it's in handwriting. And just make 9 copies. Go to Staples, FedEx, Office Depot, anyone to print them out if you don't have a color printer, and you can send those today. In fact, if you just want to send them all in one package, like if you want to send it overnight, you can go to if you can afford to go to FedEx or overnight UPS and send them all at the same, all the letters at the same time in one envelope directly to, and it can be sent overnight. So if you want, or second day air. So that's one way to rush it. And pay attention to our upcoming newsletters at targetedjustice.substack.com. Contact us at tjustice2@proton.me. And we really need your help with this. This is our last best chance to affect this lawsuit and get it back to a trial court. So we need your help.
And now we would like to draw your attention to other important initiatives that Target Justice has in stock for you. So, for example, we recently had initiative distributing flyers to urgent care clinics, physician offices, and hospitals. It was successful, but it should be an ongoing effort. Also, vote for nominations of Attorney Anna Toledo as a Deputy Justice and yours truly as a CDC advisor on Havana syndrome in the new Trump administration. Subscribe to Target Justice Substack newsletter and to YouTube and Rumble channel. And if you are expecting this particular episode to be accessible on my personal YouTube channel, you're not going to find it there. All the new content will be posted on the YouTube channel, and I urge you to subscribe. It's very simple, youtube.com/@targetedjustice. Finally, it's holiday season. Ask your relatives to donate to Targeted Justice to help shut down the program. And shop for Target Justice merchandise in our Printify shop. Anything have I missed?
Yes, we're going to do our annual fundraising drive is the month of December for Targeted Justice. So starting December 1st, we're going to be really pushing on getting people to join and become a paid subscriber, to donate at Cornerstone or Patreon. This is all part of our annual fundraising drive. So watch for that. This is the best Christmas gift that you can give to the targeted community. Make a donation to Targeted Justice. Please join in if you can.
And I want to remind you to go through the video description notes for all the relevant links and for all the relevant information.
Keep it coming, guys. We are going to win. We're here to win. Target Justice is very focused. We are laser focused on getting this program shut down. We need your support and help. Write to the justices, become a donor, and make donations this Christmas season. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you for watching the show. Have a good day.